In this video, we will be power scaling how strong is Cloudzilla in Mushroom Cloud Godzilla. Yes, I am really doing this. We're going to cover the more out there Godzillas today, starting with the more simplified one, Mushroom Cloud Godzilla. Everyone started taking note of this particular fan-made Godzilla after a very talented YouTube video came out a while back. Well, I hesitate to say fan-created. See, this Godzilla was actually heavily inspired based off early concept art designs of Godzilla's head back before the original 1954 movie came out, where his head was designed to resemble that of a mushroom cloud. Though I think the creators of this fan animation video took some liberties, since I can't tell whether or not if this original design of Godzilla would have been used if he would have still had the skinny mushroom neck. Obviously, this is meant to make Godzilla's head resemble that of a mushroom cloud left from a nuclear explosion, and there's even one specific shot in the 1954 movie where this still kind of holds up. When it comes to Mushroom Cloud Godzilla, you're one of two groups. Either you think this design is terrifying and very disturbing, or you just think this looks hilarious. Me, I'm kind of in both. Now that we've got the briefing out of the way, how strong is this particular version of Godzilla? How should I do this? You want me to power scale him based off the fan animation video? If so, I don't really have much to go on, I'm afraid. To be technical, this is basically a realized prototype design of Godzilla. So, theoretically, he should be capable of the same exact feats as the original 1954 Godzilla, which, if that's the case, then he should theoretically be able to replicate the 54 Godzilla's island level feat at the beginning of the movie, where he boils a significant part of the ocean while standing on the ocean floor at the beginning of the movie. Of course, keep in mind the original Godzilla didn't have as developed of an atomic breath as most modern iterations do nowadays, with it being more like a atomic spray breath, while this Godzilla clearly has a definite atomic breath. He even seems to be capable of spamming it, as he's just constantly firing it off, cutting through buildings like butter like he's Shin Godzilla. Hey, you think the neck would technically make him taller than the original 54 Godzilla? Again, in theory, he should be capable of everything the original 54 Godzilla is, since he is basically the 54 Godzilla, just with the slightly different look. Though if we're supposed to use the feats from this specific Godzilla, well, I mean, he can turn his head pretty fast, should be able to react to the fighter jets that were used in the movie, which can move at subsonic speeds, and has an atomic breath more suited for precision strikes. However, it's obvious that his atomic breath fires out a lot faster than those 50s jets, so I'd say probably at least supersonic combat speed with his atomic breath. Basically, think of this version of Godzilla as, what if the 54 Godzilla had the regular atomic breath, which I think is enough to place him at least right above the 54 Godzilla in our Godzilla ranking. With that being said, let's move on to the more complex issue, that is, talking about Cloudzilla. So, what's the deal with Cloudzilla? Well, Cloudzilla is the result of this phenomenon known as pareidolia? I think that's how you say it. Where basically you see cloud shapes and they just look like stuff that you recognize. This is most likely common in the type of cloud known as the cumulus clouds, which seem to have the more abstract and widely variable shape. These type of clouds have an altitude ranging from 600 meters off the ground to 2,000 meters off the ground in altitude. Starting off from a congestus cloud, which can bring weather conditions such as heavy rain and severe turbulence. These can evolve into either the cumulus cloud, as mentioned earlier, or the flammagenitis, clouds that carry excessive heat, which can be formed from volcanic eruptions or large wildfires, which can possibly further evolve into a pyrocumulonimbus. One such case of a pyrocumulonimbus was from the atom bombs that were dropped on Japan. The nuclear explosion and fallout caused such a cloud to form. These kind of clouds bring with them rain, hail, acid rain, lightning, and tornadoes. That's right, folks. We are looking at a hypothetical burning Cloudzilla. Of course, these kind of clouds only happen in very specific circumstances. What's more likely to happen is that the regular cumulus cloud evolves into a cumulonimbus, which carries your standard lightning, thunderstorms, hailstorms, tornadoes, weird phenomenon such as thunder snow, and blizzards, and these can range up to over 16,000 meters in altitude, and are the biggest kind of clouds in existence. The storms that come from these clouds, known as storm cells, can last up to 20 minutes, but can reform into multiple cells several miles away in a few minutes to just a few hours, and can possibly last several hours to even days, which means that the damage these kind of clouds can potentially bring with whatever storms they generate can have lasting long effects over time. Now, I'm not going to give you a scientific lecture on how the heck clouds work this whole video. Just know that the bigger the cloud, the more destructive weather it can potentially unleash. Rotating updrafts in these thunderstorms can potentially form a supercell. These are basically called rotating thunderstorms. They're the most rare of thunderstorms, but have the most potential for severe damage. They typically last for 2 to 4 hours, but even have the potential to split into 2 separate supercell storms. And these give off a bunch of crazy weather effects, like downbursts, heat bursts, with average winds up to 100 miles per hour, and heat temperatures going up to 100 degrees Fahrenheit or 38 degrees Celsius, with record winds even reaching up to 149 miles per hour. The strongest tornadoes generated from these kind of storms range on the EF scale from 3 to 5, and even have 2-inch hailstorms. Imagine ice the size of a golf ball, and like billions of them raining down all over your city. Now, if there were a hypothetical Cumulonimbus cloud that just happened to be shaped like Godzilla, or more likely a cumulus Godzilla-shaped cloud that eventually evolved into a cumulonimbus, how much damage would it be capable of causing? Well, the condensation and rain alone would be rated at small city level, with the kinetic energy, basically how much energy it would take to move such a large cloud, being city level. I've seen a lot of calculations for like, oh, when a fictional character like splits clouds apart. Yeah, well, that's city level. People don't seem to realize how heavy clouds actually are. They carry like millions of tons of water. EF3 tornadoes range from 136 to 165 miles per hour, which, when converting that into energy, would be large building plus, at about 9.5 tons of energy, with the max destructive potential EF5 tornadoes being over 200 miles per hour, which would generate 34.5 kilotons, which would be town level. And of course, the lightning would be building level at about 0.23 tons. With just the rain, depending on its stage, the cloud would generate below average to building level attack potency. The total amount of energy it's dispelling generating all that rain would be small city level, just performing said rain feat. City level just moving around. Building level with the lightning strikes, and large building to town level with the tornadoes. And remember, a single storm cell which can cause all this can potentially split apart and multiply over a vast distance. As for speed, well, if we're just talking about the cloud itself, they seem to be able to move at 30 to 40 miles per hour. So yeah, superhuman. And if we're talking about, say, the average tornado, 70 to 136 to 200 miles per hour, then superhuman to subsonic. And I guess if we're counting the lightning, then its attack speed would be massively hypersonic. So its attack speed would range from superhuman to massively hypersonic. The durability, as stated before, would be small city to city level. Intelligence? It's a cloud. What do you want me to say? Lifting strength would be about 1 million tons. And as a little bonus stat, for its stamina, it would be 10 minutes as a cumulus cloud, 30 to 60 minutes as a cumulonimbus, 10 to 12 hours for possibly reforming, and then 2 to 4 hours for its supercell storms. So how about we just say average to above average? Of course, if we really wanted to get crazy with this, we could say that if a hypothetical Cloudzilla were to exist, as in a sentient, living, thinking Cloudzilla, then maybe this Cloudzilla would, just for the sake of, say, an interesting weather natural disaster story, have the ability of weather manipulation and probability manipulation, because these kind of storms and tornadoes have a very rare chance of happening. But what if, say, a sentient cloud just had the ability to say, screw that, I'm taking 5% possibility and amping it up to 100%. Then it could literally just make the impossible possible, and just have the perfect weather conditions to always be able to form. But that's getting into fanfiction territory. Maybe I'll come back to that idea someday. But yeah, if a cumulus cloud were to evolve into a cumulonimbus and just happen to generate the most powerful, most severe thunderstorms and tornadoes ever seen and recorded, we're looking at numerous building to town level attack potency, which, if you'll look at this Godzilla ranking flip, may just maybe potentially enough to take out the 1998 TriStar Gods. That's right, folks. Under the right specific circumstances, a literal cloud could beat one of the official Godzillas. And that, my friends, is the true joke of the day. The fact that specific Godzillas could actually lose to a cloud. I mean, think about it. Not all Godzillas are able to, like, shoot their atomic breaths up to space. They might not even be able to reach Cloudzilla, while Cloudzilla could just target them with various tornadoes and thunderstorms and hailstorms. Heck, Heck, if we get a hypothetical Flanaganitas, then it'd be able to generate acid rain. I'd imagine not every Godzilla would be able to endure constant acid rain for prolonged periods of time, on top of all the other weather stuff going on. Cloudzilla would be the living embodiment of what is called the perfect storm, because it'd pretty much have to be the perfect storm just to exist in the first place. But I want you all to know, the possibility of the next time you see a cloud that just happens to look like Godzilla, possibly leading to one of the most disastrous weather phenomenons in history, is always close to zero, but never zero. Join me next time as we return to covering the Pipeworks Godzilla, as I cover Godzilla Unleashed. See you then, folks. Take care.